Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host, and this time, guess what? We are coming to you live, and as soon as I can get this camera adjusted appropriately, we'll be working just fine. Thank you for being with us today. Of course, you know what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the primary elections and what we need to actually do to get certain things accomplished. And also, I want to tell folks that they need not despair over what's been happening, what they've been hearing, all that sort of thing. That said, I tell you one interesting thing. I had what I must call a great week. And mostly the great week came about because of local activism. And when I say local activism, that is really what I mean. Local activism. Here where I'm located in Kingwood, Texas, there are some teachers who got together, and not only teachers, mostly parents who got together, and what they decided to do is they decided to ensure that the school board does not ever believe that they can run a school system completely unfettered. But, you know, before I get started, I want to remind people that this is a call-in show. You can give me a call at 646-929-2495. Again, that number is 646-929-2495. I repeat, 646-929-2495. I want to hear from you. I'd love to hear a lot from... in fact, I'd like to hear from some of our local people as well who've been working with several of the not area organizations, but several of the parents around to get themselves heard. This week, and we're going to get into Bernie Sanders in a minute, but I really want to touch on this because this is rather important. This week, these parents... over the last few weeks, these parents have been wanting to know why Elizabeth Fagan, the current superintendent of the Douglas County School District, who is under a lot of attack out there because of the policies that she and her board has instituted out there, why would we become the guinea pigs for this particular superintendent? Why did they bring her over here? Now, I am not going to go into the details as far as what needs to be done. I'm not going to go into the details as far as why she's here because, again, I think a lot of people have gone over that issue already. Specifically, my good friend, my good libertarian friend, Scott Ford, who I see left a message here as far as telling folks to give us a call in. And Scott, you should call in as well. Make the conversation a bit more lively. But anyhow, these parents got together. And organically, they protested last week. I went ahead and got some pictures of that. I got some videos of that. I got a few interviews out of that to talk to these people who were sort of afflicted by this particular issue. Now, that said, they began, they got the people together and the board listened or seemed to have listened. And what the board did then is they decided to call what I call an out of scope meeting. In other words, they called a meeting that wasn't a meeting that should have happened at that time. And the parents went out there and they went to talk to the board. Sadly, and I really hope that the parents understood exactly what happened there. And for the Bernie Sanders listeners, stay with me because I am going to get onto that subject shortly. But this is a local issue that affects the entire country, because this is something that is being done all over the place. So I want to stick on this particular subject, for the first 5-10 minutes, and then I'll move on, and hopefully by then I'll get some of you guys to call me at 646-929-2495, because it's an important subject. It's a subject that, while the presidential election affects many people, while the presidential election affects us all, local issues are much, much more important than the presidential election, because they directly affect us immediately. So again, if you're listening, call 646-929-2495. I got to get my numbers straight because I do this program on the Coffee Party Network, but I also do Politics Done Right on the Pacifica Network, KPFT 90.1 FM on Thursdays at 3 o'clock. So this is an important issue here, folks, that we need to discuss. Anyhow, what I want the parents to realize, what actually occurred. The parents were told to come and air their grievances. They were invited to air their grievances in front of the entire board. But what do you think the board did? The board used a classic tactic to ensure, or to attempt to let this movement of parents fizzle. Let me explain what they did. We had the news media out there. We had ABC, CBS, NBC local affiliates out there. We had NPR. We had several bloggers, myself. We had Scott Ford from the liberal network RagingElephants.com. All these people were there to cover this issue. They expected to listen to these issues covered, but they wanted to have themselves heard. And what happened? We got one of the board chairmen, and for the people that are just coming on now, we are going to be talking about the Bernie Sanders revolution shortly, so stick with me for a minute. I just want to get this local issue handled. So what did they do? We had Keith LePage, one of the board members, and specifically the board member that will not be up for re-election for a very long time. I think he's not coming up for another 2 years or so. They made him give the presentation. He ensured that that presentation was done for over 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours. And the reason he did that was specific. And by the way, after he gave his presentation, the board members made sure, 2019, thank you, Scott, the board members made sure that they continued talking because they wanted the news media to leave. They wanted the ABC, CBS, NBC, and all these stations that would have gotten these parents on live, they wanted them to leave. Why did they want them to leave? They wanted them to leave because having parents on the news complain against the board would have fired up several more parents when they realized that there was a board not working in their best interest. There was a board that was bringing in a failed superintendent to work for them who had failed elsewhere, who parents elsewhere wanted to have nothing to do with them. Think about it. That is what they did. Moving forward, not only did the board make sure that the news media was not there by the time the parents attempted to have their say, what they did was even worse. It was even worse. I had never seen a board that condescending towards parents as I saw on whenever it was that we had that particular the board meeting a few days ago. Let me tell you, because this is important. not only were they condescending when they spoke to the parents, but they outright misrepresented numbers. They outright misrepresented exactly what they were attempting to tell the parents. I don't want to quite say they lie. Lie is a legal term, so I won't necessarily say they lied, but they misrepresented the information. And when the parents came in and complained, Keith Lopez specifically was very condescending towards the parent. What I'm trying to tell you before we get into Bernie Sanders, folks, is that please do remember, you control your local boards. You decide who you want representing you. And if you find out that instead of having your best interest at hand, what they have is ideology at hand, then it is your moral responsibility to act. It is your moral responsibility to act in the behest of your children, in the behest of your community. Because an education is only received, a primary education is only received once. A secondary education is only received once. Only one thing stands between you and your kids' education, you and more. Anyhow, off my soapbox about this local issue. Today we are going to talk about the Bernie Sanders revolution. Ironically, all of that fits into the revolution. I wrote a blog of the week that I'm not going to read because I would much prefer if I heard from you guys. This is the first Politics Done Right on Coffee Party Radio, or the Coffee Party Network, that we're doing not only on Blog Talk Radio, but we're also doing live on Facebook. We want to see how Facebook works with this current issue. So give us a call. The telephone number is 646-929-2495. Again, that number is 646-929-2495. Let's talk about where we go with the revolution. And I see my friend is on already. So let's go to John from San Antonio. How you doing, John?
I'm good, Egberto. How you doing?
So far, so good. So far, so good. The revolution continues. Tell me your thoughts on this week. And I know it's vast.
Well, it's I'm a big numbers and data guy, and so for me, this week really. I mean, I guess it's in after March 15th. I knew it was just extremely uphill, and since I saw all the polling data, it was just going to be really hard for Bernie, and that being said, I just want to look at the overall picture, which was, Bernie's run was the greatest political run of my lifetime.
Absolutely.
And I just hope this continues. And Bernie was the greatest candidate of my lifetime also. And so it was just really encouraging to see all the millennials wake up and understand that they don't have to be cowed into this system, and that Bernie can change it. And it's not just Bernie. I mean, because I don't want to.
Absolutely not.
I think I talked about this before about the cult of Bernie, and that does worry me a little bit because I'm a member of the cult of Bernie myself. But I mean, sometimes this isn't just about Bernie, even though I love his personality.
Right.
It's the issues that Bernie brought to the forefront. And these are issues that we've spoken about over the past 5 years. Universal health care, having a debt-free college, reining in Wall Street. These are issues that are near and dear to every
American
democratic
citizen,
socialist, and true progressive heart. And also this week was great for me because of the Warren factor, the fact that she was just so incredibly articulate on the Rachel Maddow show and in our attacks on Trump. And, because Trump really is the biggest threat of our lifetimes, I think also. Well, I mean, I guess George Wallace was a pretty big threat in '68. He did win 3 states. Trump will win more than 3 states, but they have that similar racist attitude,
right?
And so I'm just really glad to see that Warren is really getting the media attention that she deserves. But I think, as I said on your KPFT show, I don't want her to accept the vice president's position because I feel that this will, historically, it could ruin her because of Clinton.
I agree.
I hope. Go ahead.
I agree wholeheartedly. It is. It would be kind of visionary to have both Hillary Clinton and Elizabeth Warren on the same ticket, but I don't want that to happen because in as much as I believe many Democrats will necessarily vote for Hillary Clinton, even as they were Bernie supporters and they support Bernie's policies, they understand that they also understand that it is likely that if a Trump went into office, it would be problematic for a lot of the social services, the social programs that are necessary to sustain many people. I understand that. So, however, I do agree with you that having a Elizabeth Warren working with Hillary would actually be a detriment to the progressive movement. And the reason why that would be the case is that she would have to attenuate she'll have to attenuate the things that she talks about. And the same applies to Bernie. A lot of Bernie Sanders people are saying, well, if he's not going to be the president, maybe he should be the vice president to keep her in check. Well, vice presidents do not keep the president in check. In effect, they are sidelined. I mean, every so often we get strong vice presidents like Cheney or even our current vice president Biden. But the type of person that Hillary is, it is likely that he would be there just on the back burner. I think it is necessary for us to follow the program. If and when she becomes president, the progressive movement must have grown and grown to ensure that she cannot step or make a move towards the plutocracy like most of us know she is likely to attempt. But it is in our interest to ensure that we have a strong backstop, because she will never have the support of the Republican rank and file. And if she doesn't have the support of the left, she cannot govern at all. So those are sort of the things. So I agree with you with that with regards to Warren, John. And folks, before John comes back in, the telephone number, I really want to hear from people. Either write me on the Facebook, give me your comments on the Facebook comments under the show, or go ahead and give me a call, 646-929-2495. We're very nice to everybody who calls in, as John can attest to. We whether you agree, whether you disagree, I really want to hear your thoughts. That's what we're all about. Come on in, John.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that, it's good to hear somebody say that, because I've gotten a lot of people say, no, if she wants to do it, she'll be effective. And they're also talking about, she'll be in a position to actually be president, even though she will be older than Reagan in his second term. And so I think that's an issue also because, I really do hope that this Trump horrible candidacy will affect the Republican down ballot. And of course, Democrats are already favored to take this Senate, and right now they're just now, the data is pointing to where there's starting to be movement, like in Florida, where Patrick Murphy has a big lead. But it's still going to be very hard to flip the House, and so I think there's going to be a lot of gridlock still. And so that's probably going to happen for the next 4 years. And so what I would like to happen is, we'll see probably in 2020 an even weaker Hillary Clinton with more gridlock, more people, saying, throwing their hands up and saying nothing gets done, nobody's agenda is being put in place. And so I think this will be a great opportunity if she wants to run for president in 2020 to primary Hillary. And I think that's what progressives should be looking forward to. I don't know if she wants to do that or not. The fact that she said on Maddow's show that she would be willing to be the president.
I don't think that's what she
you know.
said. I think people are misrepresenting that. I don't think that's what she said. What she said, what was asked of her is if she was capable, if she had the competency to be president. What happened is that Rangel, the not Rangel, but the ex-governor of Pennsylvania, I don't remember his name.
Rendell.
Yes.
Yeah, Rendell.
Rendell. He actually said that she did not have the capability of being vice president. And I think that was not only a stupid statement, I think that was a sexist statement. What is in it? Why would he believe that a Bush or a Reagan could be president and somebody with the type of intellect that Elizabeth Warren has could not be president? It just shows that sexism doesn't only cover the Republican Party, but we have a whole lot of that to fight as well within the Democratic Party proper. Because again, that was an outright sexist statement.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I see your point, and that there could be some validity to it. But, you know, the fact is that, you know, when I was on the draft warrant, you know, little meeting we had,
Right.
and we had a little protest here in San Antonio, and I ran press for it. And, you know, I mean, this is one of the things in my head is like, why isn't she willing to run?
Right.
And number one was, you know, she thinks Hillary is just too inevitable. You know, and, you know, there was a lot of polling already going on there with her and Hillary, and she was pretty far behind.
Well, and that's
so,
true. She was, let me break in there. Hillary was inevitable, but I think, and this is something that Bill Maher alluded to when he spoke yesterday on Realt Time. You know, I've been kind of having mixed feelings about some of the things that Bill's been saying, but specifically when he stated that what Bernie Sanders did was completely unexpected. And here is the deal. Yes, she polled badly. She polled badly, I think, because she probably had poor recognition. And there are a lot of people who really didn't know what she stood for. Now, that said, Bernie Sanders proved that message is actually a message that's wanted not only by Democrats, but a whole lot of independents and a whole lot of Republicans. So the deck was completely stacked against anybody running against Clinton. That is a reality. And that Bernie came as close as he did. It's not only a testament to Bernie, because to be honest with you, what Bernie has is in his favor is consistency of message, right? He has been saying the same thing for over 40 years. And that comes with a certain degree of, I trust you, I believe you, and therefore I will honor you. And how do I best honor a politician? I give him my vote. So that goes without saying. But I think as far as Elizabeth Warren, she's a much more charismatic person than Sanders. She's substantially younger than Sanders. Well, by quite a few years younger than Sanders. And I think she would have caught on very well if she had jumped into the ring. But those are all bygones.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Sam Cedar about this, and he was saying that Warren would have won, and I said I question that because, you know, I think part of the message that Sanders has is that he is a democratic socialist.
Right.
I mean, I just don't know there's no doubt that Warren has more charisma.
Right.
But at the same time, also Sanders appeals to a lot more rural people. I mean, that was the amazing thing to me, because if you look at, you know, in the big cities where all the achievers live,
right,
you know, Clinton still did very well, you know. But I mean, it was amazing to me that Sanders did well in the rural areas.
Let me say something, though.
Even in Democratic areas.
Again, before I go, let me tell you, I see some other callers on. If you want to speak, please push the number 1. That lets me know that I can call on you. So I have 620 that I'm going to be bringing into the conversation next. And I see a 518 I'll be bringing into the conversation just before 620. Okay, again, let me bring some other people into the conversation. And folks, the number is, I have so many numbers to remember these days. 646-929-2495. Again, that number is 646-929-2495. 2495. Join the conversation. And by the way, if you're watching it live on Facebook, share it. We are working on ensuring that we have our own means of communication, folks. Right now, we have a plutocracy, a corporatocracy that controls the media. An example is what gets covered and how it is covered. Earlier on, I gave the story about the school board here in Humble, Texas, being controlled by effectively by ALEC, and I also showed how the reporting that's done doesn't show the people in this area what's actually going on. They just hear what the parents have to say, what the board has to say, but they don't go into the meat of the issues. That is something that alternative media is going to have to do going forward, and it only happens if we use these resources like Facebook, like Twitter, like every online method, websites, defined websites, etc., etc., etc. Okay, let's go to 518. 518, and keeping you live at the same time, John. 518, who do I have the honor of speaking with?
I don't know if you remember me, Joe Pomponio out of Colony, New York.
Who can ever forget Joe Pomponio? Joe, how are you doing, sir? It's great hearing from you after all these months.
Well, I had some severe health issues and financial issues, but that's all behind me now.
I'm glad to hear that, sir.
You see, what got me really interested today is the idea of what to do with the movement that Bernie started. And I've had some issues with this all along.
Uh-huh.
What I like about him, I admire everything he's striving for. What I find difficult to understand is when he speaks, he seems to be leaving his supporters with the impression that if you elect me, everything will get done. I've never heard him talk about the down ticket.
Let me stop you right there for a second, Joe, and I only stop you for a second right there because I want to correct that misconception, if you will. He continuously tells people that the revolution isn't about him and that they have to remain engaged. And as far as down ballot is concerned, he is in fact working on he is in fact supporting down ballot folks in the Congress, which is what's going to be needed to effect things like free tuition. And I hate to use the word free tuition because it is spun by conservatives and right-wingers as somebody wanting something for free. What I call free tuition is pay it forward tuition. And what do I mean by pay it forward? When we educate our youth, they will have higher paying jobs, which mean going forward, they will pay higher taxes, which means as they pay higher taxes, they will be more productive towards society. And in effect, they would be paying those services forward to some other kid. They would be paying that back. So continue, Mr. Pomponio. I just want to let you know that it is there. If you hadn't heard it, maybe it means that he needs to be better at saying it, however.
Yeah, I would agree with you on the last point, right? Because specifically...
Yes, Joe.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right. Specifically on the last point, I totally agree with you because I had Bernie supporters on my Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
And, I would comment this to them, that, what we need are troops in Congress and the Senate, all right, to back it, which, as it turns out, we may get that anyway.
Right.
All right, because between Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders back in the Senate, now what we need are like-minded people.
Exactly.
On the down ballot to get in there, all right, and start his revolution.
Right.
Without them, it's a dead end. Now, I want to give a shout-out to, I'll spell it if you want, because I can't pronounce it very well, Sekat Chakraborty.
Okay.
Okay? And he wants to set up a plan called Brand New Congress 2018. The goal is 400 members of Congress, 65 members in the Senate, and it doesn't matter who the president is.
You know,
I'd like to see it start now.
Sir, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that was promoted on my show on Thursday. I had two Bernie Sanders activists, well, one Bernie Sanders activist and one very progressive activist on the show on Thursday. And he mentioned the support. In fact, that is where many Bernie Sanders supporters and progressives are going to be moving going forward. The brand new, I think it's brandnewcongress.org. Brandnewcongress.org. That is, I think, an extension to the movement that is going to be very, very necessary, because that is how we're going to actually get things done. We have to get those guys out of Congress. I think what's important with the Bernie movement as well, or what we call the political movement, it's very important, and that is that he showed that you did not have to have the backing of the corporatocracy to actually win. Again, you do not have to have the backing of the corporatocracy to win. You can get $5 here, $10 here, $27 here. The people here in Kingwood, Texas, and Humble, Texas, and Atascocita, Texas, they didn't need a whole lot of money to make some signs and to challenge that board. And they didn't need a whole lot of money or anything to do what's necessary, just to get engaged. And that is what programs like mine, programs like Scott, even though we're different sides of the aisle per se, and programs like many other people, that's what they're trying to do. Engage the body politic. Right now, the only thing that keeps us in the state that we're in is because enough people don't think they matter. And in thinking that they don't matter, they really stop voting their interests and they really vote their fears. And that sounds cliche. I know that sounds cliche, but that is what's currently occurring. People are not voting their interests. If everybody were to take off everything that Bernie says away from Bernie, if they took away those the titles, about who he is, about him being a democratic socialist, and he simply stayed with the tenets that he believes, that he points out. If you're a Republican, if you're a conservative, if you're a liberal, most of what he says you would agree with. Even a libertarian who believes in keeping the government out, I could make the case that paying it forward tuition is a libertarian concept slightly modified. So, I mean, we have to start doing several things. One is getting people engaged, or letting people know that it's okay to assert your worth. You are important. Every single person in this society. And I repeat this every show, from the garbage man right up to the doctor, to the lawyer. I'll kind of keep out the stockbroker, because I think playing with money is not anything, it's not the... But I mean, even the stockbroker, I mean, they do serve some purposes. But let me bring somebody else into the conversation. And folks, we have an unlimited number of lines with that can call in. So the number is 646-929-2495. Again, that number is 646-929-2495. Give us a call and join the conversation, whether you agree or not, because I tell you, you get solutions if and only when everybody has their say. Because the solution for any one society is the amalgamation of everybody's ideas into something that we don't all necessarily like, but that we can all live with, and we can all feel like we are a part of what actually occurred. Let me bring 620 into the conversation. 620, who do I have the honor of speaking with?
It's Jack Golden.
Hey, Jack Golden. How are you doing, Jack?
Well, I tell you, I haven't talked to you. You have been on the 646 business for months. Right.
Most of what we were doing is rebroadcasting KPFT's program, but today,
yes, Houston. You're from Houston, and I couldn't get a handle on that.
Right.
Anyway, I'd like to say that I have not been on Facebook for the last year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I have not, because my eyesight is bad. I can't type worth a damn. So, let's read comments. I would like to say this, that I predicted, that's Iowa, maybe before Iowa, that Donald Trump would be the Republican senator. Now, because people, the other candidates, the other 16 candidates, were too stupid to challenge him effectively. They're afraid of treating him with kid gloves.
Well, Jack.
Now, as far as with Bernie, I like Bernie. I like any Democrat now over any Republican. I think the best candidate for the Republican Party is Casey, because at least he's a moderate conservative.
Right.
What's he call it? True conservative.
True.
True conservative. Is what slow progress is. And it's all just screwing up the concept of conservatism. It's reactionary.
Right.
Talking about Ted Cruz or certain aspects of Donald Trump wants to take the Congress, take the whole political process back to the 19th century, back to before Teddy Roosevelt. So,
sure, exactly, yes.
And so now Bernie has good intentions, but like Donald Trump, he's not specific enough.
Well, let me qualify this. Let me stop you a second there, Jack. I need to stop you there because I've heard many people say that. I've heard many people say that he's not very specific. I see that you're back, John, and he's not very specific. Now, let me say that I think personally, and I think the man is specific enough because the folks that are really going to get things going, it's everybody else. Everybody is going to come together and say what they want. He's not going to go out there and say, I am exactly going to do X, Y, and Z. That's not possible. Okay, it really isn't possible. I see some more callers coming on, and if you want to talk, please push 1 so that I can know to call on you. I would like to get as many people into the conversation as possible. Folks, that telephone number is, and I want to hear your opinions as well. That is so important. Number 646-929-2495. Again, 646-929-2495. Jack, I'm going to put you on hold a bit. Let me get to 323. 323, you are on the air. How you doing, my friend? What's your name?
Hey, Egberto, it's Max. How are you doing?
¿Cómo estás, Max? Luchando con la vida como siempre. What's going on, my friend?
I'm just calling in to see how what the position is of our side in regarding to whether we are going to have a backup plan for the upcoming situation with Bernie. And
let me ask it to you this way, Max. Let me ask it to you this way. What do you want the backup plan to be?
Well, my idea is that we work on the situation on multiple fronts, that we don't make it a one or the other, like that we work on making the third parties viable and get them on the ballots on all states, so that no matter what happens in this situation, whether Bernie runs as an independent or Bernie does whatever, that we have the option to take down the two-party gangster system, so that, because if we make a third-party option and we all decide, you know what, if you take away Bernie and you don't give us Bernie, we're going to vote green, we will permanently destroy that two-party gangster system.
Now, so I agree with you that the current...
On a two-pronged front.
Okay.
What were you saying?
Yeah, I agree with you that the two-party system is and the way you call it, a gangster system. Now, I am personally, and right now we're on the Coffee Party Network, which is a transpartisan organization, which means we support Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Greens, everybody. Personally, I am a Democrat. That's how I grew up, a Democrat, and you are likely one as well.
I am too.
And now the Democratic Party, in my humble opinion, has failed us miserably. Okay? Now, when I say that, I don't say that, I'm not biting my tongue in saying that or anything of that nature. I mean, there are a lot of Democrats that are doing the
You're
best.
sugarcoating it.
Yes, I am to some extent, but let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I sugarcoat these things. Because you are very apt in the political realm, my friend. Okay, you're very well apt in the political realm. And John, call back again. I'll get you back on again. But many people are not. So many people just know that they're either Democrats or Republicans. We have a huge educational process that we have to go through to let folks know that there could be choices out there in the long run. For 2016, I don't think that is there. That's just my humble opinion. Now, in having these opinions, what I make sure to do is ensure that I'm listening to what other people want to do or what other people think they want to do. But what I ask them all is lay it out. And not only lay it out, give me the path to how whatever you're doing today is going to help that person who is on Obamacare, is going to help that person who is on all these different programs that will be dependent on exactly who gets elected in the short term. So that's what I ask people. I do not assume that I know it all. I simply want people, whatever they are coming up with a proposal, to think it through.
Well, if you can let me answer that.
Yes, sir, of course.
I can give you a couple of quick little points on the situation. So the false paradigm of Trump or Hillary, if Trump, becomes president, it's going to be horrible. So we have to vote Hillary, and that's a false paradigm because we're both very well educated in the situation, and voting for somebody who's actually already proven to contribute to drop bombs on women and children in other countries is just not an option for any self-respecting, humane.
I understand what you're saying. Now, Max, I want to ask you a question, and I need to cut you and ask you a question, Max. Is it either going to be a Hillary elected or a Trump elected in this season? Is it either one of those two that's going to get elected or not?
I'm not certain because the trick here is has she managed to make a backroom deal to avoid an arrest? Because what we see is that all the evidence points toward. I mean, it's out there. It's in the mainstream media that she's committed a crime. Now, to manage to avoid an arrest that's a trick.
Let me tell you this. I'm going to tell you
where she's going to avoid that arrest.
Max, hold on a second. Let me just say this, and I think this is important, right? You have a platform. Everybody that calls into this show or whatever they have a platform. And I think we have to be very responsible in how we use our platform. And what I mean by that is, look, I particularly am not a fan of Hillary. I want to be a Bernie Sanders delegate. I want to go out there. Personally, I'm not speaking as far as any network is concerned. I want to represent the values that he's talking about. That's what I want to do. When I go to San Antonio at the convention, that is my goal, to promote this message and to move the current instance of the party in that direction. That's my goal. That is something quantifiable that I want to do. I also know that I also know that I have many, many friends, very good friends, that are staunch Hillary Clinton supporters, and within Hillary, they see a vision themselves. Okay? Yeah. They see a woman becoming president, and the only viable woman that will become president likely in the next few years. And that means something to them as well. Let me finish, and then I promise I give you the chance to talk. I am not going to, as a person, just try to feel good go ahead and say, well, if my candidate, the person that I think is most deserving of being elected, if he doesn't get it, I leave the party. I don't think I can do that. And more importantly, I don't think I serve the people who listen to me, the people who follow me, the people who listen to you, Max, the people who follow you, Max.
Yeah.
I don't think I do them a service. I think what I do is I see how we move forward during this election period. Now, it may happen that things break down so badly that I throw my hands up in the air, that you throw your hands up in the air and say, well, it is so indebted. Both candidates are so indebted to the plutocracy that there's nothing that'll be done. I don't foresee that, but that could be the case. But I want to see the process play out, Max. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do too. And, I trust me, I have given Hillary every opportunity, and I can't give Trump an opportunity. He just comes out in a somewhat I'd say a negative tone,
right,
for my taste,
right.
But the thing that we're talking about too is just your ethics and values, and
right.
And these movements don't continue if we yield when things get tough or things get hard. Your values only mean something to them if you stick by them.
Right.
When
you are correct.
Times are hard.
You are correct.
So,
you're absolutely correct.
So people like Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Muhammad Ali, they weren't here to compromise their values or anything like that. And I'm not going to do that either. I hope a lot of the public realizes that we have to stick together and not give in to any fear.
I want to bring John into the conversation.
Fight for justice.
Max, I want to bring John into the conversation because John has an interesting term for many, for some of the current Bernie Sanders supporters that I think that I would like to make a little bit softer, but I understand what he's saying. So come on in, John.
Okay. I understand, where Max is coming from because, I probably, on the issues, I probably feel very similar to Max. But as far as the actual reality of voting, I'm as far away from him as I could be. Because, voting isn't a matter of, I can only vote for people I feel morally conscious about.
Right.
That's not what voting is about. Voting is about the person who is, most of the time, it's the person who's going to cause the least amount of damage. And that's just reality. We had recently had a Democratic runoff, and we had, we had to vote for the one state position, the AG position, agriculture.
Right.
And then there was 3 other local judges, and I did all my research, and I'm going, God, it's hard to even pick somebody. These people are bad.
Right.
People running for San Antonio mayor, I had a problem picking any of them because they were all bad. Yet as a citizen, it is my duty to be informed and to vote for the least bad candidate. And in certain, occasionally we'll get some decent candidates like Bernie. And so, like I said on your show, let's look at Canada. Basically the reason Harper was able to have an extended period of a 10-year run was because the two left-wing parties split their vote. And so I think anybody who's talking about blowing up the two-party system should think about, what happens when something is blown up. Well, usually when something is blown up, there's a lot of damage that occurs. And some of that damage will be, I hate to go over the litany of the list, but this is just reality. Right now, the Republican Party is more extreme than just about any time in history. What they want to do is increase income inequality, They want to take away the social safety net. They want to take away Roe versus Wade. They want to disenfranchise voters. And, I understand the frustration, but, blowing up something isn't an answer. It really isn't.
All right, let me give you the flip side of that, because what you're saying to me is that we shouldn't blow up the system, because there could be, we don't know the damage it could incur. Well, it's not. If you look at it as a system that is already damaged and blown up, that is not working, because we on the left feel that the Democrats have not had the people's backs. They have completely betrayed us, and the very few Democrats that are progressive don't have any power in the Democratic Party. So we've been already blown up. And the Republicans, we already understand they're out there, way out there, outside the spectrum of any kind of like sense, common sense, or
I'm kind of on another call right now.
But I will get to this very quickly, which is, if we leave the system as is and remain in the situation, is we get Hillary, who keeps the situation going. We cross the Rubicon of carbon, where we don't come back from it, and we all perish.
Let me ask you a question,
now,
Max.
We
Max,
need to do something immediate.
may I ask you a question, Max?
Change the system.
I get that, but I think a very important question I want to ask you, because let me tell you how I felt about the election, and I think this is sort of important. Hillary Clinton did get more votes in the Democratic Party. Hillary, and I know there are some people that talk about.
Is that an actual fact, though? Is it an actual fact?
Let me finish it. Let me finish. I promise I give you time back. I promise. She got more votes. She won more states. She won, all of that. She did really win more. About most of us on the left, including the far left, we truly believe in democracy. We really believe that. And and the thing about it is, yes, I know there are some shenanigans that all went on in different states, etc. But I don't believe that
our own party fought against us.
Yeah, let me finish though. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. However,
in every sense of the word.
Yes, sir. Let me finish though, because we're running close on time now. But here's the deal. I think the most important thing that we have to do, Max, is we have to get our work done. We have to realize that there are forces against us from every direction. From those people who really believe in democracy, I think there are forces against us. But we have to get over those forces. We have to get together, and we have to go out there and talk to our people. I know I will be talking to a lot of my good friends who are still strong Hillary supporters. They believe that she could be the answer. I don't. But I am going to be talking to people in the long run. We didn't get that accomplished this cycle. It is our job.
I agree, but let me finish my point.
Quickly,
which is
quickly, my friend.
We don't have to blow up this system necessarily. We can work on doing both without doing one or the other.
Exactly.
We can work on being pro Bernie and also getting the third parties viable on every state, so we are no longer forced into this false paradigm.
And a friend of mine
that prevents democracy.
Okay, let me stop you there and say this, Max. I agree with you. See, it's amazing how we can agree on concept, but we have a problem a lot of times with implementation. And here's what I mean. Cody Pogue, a professor here at Lone Star College, not Lone Star, San Jacinto College, said something interesting. He said in Texas, where things doesn't really matter, but in the fact of the matter, I think Cody may be a little bit off, as John pointed out, that actually Texas is in play for the Democrats this year. But assuming a state is absolutely not in play, if everybody show the viability of a third party in that state, you can send a message. So I'm using your exact statement to say you are correct, but we can use that but use it effectively to ensure that, as John would say, we get the least bad for the time that we need the least bad until we can grow into I hate to use educating people because that sounds condescending. So convincing folk that there is an alternative way for us to go. Can you agree on that?
Well, I can agree that we should do that, but we aren't going to convince these principled Bernie backers, which is a large portion of the people.
I think we can. Let me tell you why I think.
So the answer is
no.
For the Bernie or bust group to go Bernie or Green, so that we at least get something in return for our effort, so that they can finally open up the system. If they're going to go bust, they might as well get something in return.
And that makes sense. Hold on.
They make the Green Party a viable party forever, and then we get included, and we're always at the table from their end because we got a third party permanently at the table at everything.
There's only one party right now. There's only one party right now that has a viability in all 50 states. That's not the Republican or Democrats, and that is the Libertarian Party. Okay, so in other words, what I'm saying is the following. And when I talk about us doing the work, okay,
they're far right.
I understand. Actually, they're not far right. It's different. I'd like you to speak to Scott Ford sometime.
They're a mixed bag.
Exactly. So what I want to say though, Max, is the following. The Green Party is not ready to be that party right now, specifically because you can have a Libertarian Party that is in 50 states, and we don't have the Green. The Green Party has a lot of issues. By the way, I have a lot of we all of us share a whole lot in common with the Green Party. Probably a lot more so than the Democratic Party, based on the current direction of the Democratic Party. However, the fact that they don't have a 50-state solution is an issue. It really is an issue. So
it really is an issue, and it's an issue that we've created because we've gotten away from looking at the situation reasonably, and we've been sucked into the two party. War.
Yes, and I'm guilty.
That we've let happen.
I am guilty of believing that you work within the party system because let me just tell you what my feeling is. My feeling is that the hurdles are so high for a third party that if we can actually have real progressives take over the Democratic Party, we have a built-in framework to move forward. I think it's a shorter leap. But what I find is that there's such a hate for these two parties that folks are not as pragmatic as I think they could be if they wanted to be. That's all. But we're coming close on time. Max, you've added a whole lot to the country.
I just don't see a solution for them. I just don't see a way we can fix the Democratic Party. They've shown us that we had a massive revolution, and they are on the way of stifling it.
But here's the deal:
we're never going to get any closer than this.
That's not true, though. That is not. I have to disagree respectfully with that statement, because here is how we do it. Those people in Kingwood, Texas, and Humboldt, Texas, and Atascocita, Texas, who are actually talking to the board here or trying to go get this board to be representative. When they don't do what they should do, these people are going to run. You see, Max, you're doing a whole lot of talking on my show right now. You're an educated man. You are going to be running for precinct chair. You are going to be running for these different issues, and you are going to have
90 seconds.
We're going to be closing short.
Doing community.
Okay, well, we got to close the show. I'm so sorry, my friend. So I have to ask everybody to give me 15 seconds. So Max, give me a 15-second closer, and I have to hold you at 15 seconds. 15 seconds, Max, you're on.
Okay. Well, we are going to come together and make a situation where we
60 seconds.
save everybody, the whole world comes together, or we don't.
Thank you, Max.
We wake up.
Got to let you go there.
We are on.
Thank you, Max. Joe, quick 15 seconds.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. And a quick shout out to New York for Democracy. We finally got New York State to sign on to repeal citizenship.
I read that. I got to let you go. Thank you, Joe. Jack, a quick 15 seconds.
Okay. The solution is being a militant moderate. I'm a militant moderate. And if I had more time, I would define what it is.
Thank you very much. I gotta go. Give me 15 seconds. Go ahead, John.
Okay, right now the Democratic Party is more liberal than it's ever been in my lifetime. It's going to continue to get more liberal. Don't abandon the Democratic Party, because that is the only hope right now for change. What you're talking about is a long-term solution, which in the meantime will let the Republicans take power, which will be extremely detrimental to this country.
Thank you very much, John. Got to let you go. Everybody, thank you very much for being a part of this conversation. We will do this on a weekly basis on on Coffee Party Network on Saturdays at 12 Central Standard Time. And of course, do remember to come to the show, KPFT 90.1 FM in Houston, Texas. If you're not there, kpft.org/listen. So all over, we bring you into the conversation for you to be a part of the body politic, and you must share these things. We got to move this system forward, and we're only going to get there if everybody gets engaged. So thank you for being a part. This is Politics Done Right, and I am out. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.